Woo! So I got a couple of things to say. Number one is I'd like to reframe something. Reframing means just turning things around to have a different meaning. You know how people say I'm pro-life? I think what we're saying to them is, no, you're not. You are pro-birth. Because after that kid is born, you do not give a damn. The chip law, the chip bill should have been passed immediately. They should never have let it get to what it is now. The Dreamers should have been passed immediately. They should never have let it get passed. But that's what's happening right now. Because we have an administration that is looking to change the actual form of our democracy. I'm going to be talking about that later, but I want you to think about this. We're here talking about all sorts of issues, but what we're really, when you distill it all the way down, what we're really talking about is how do we protect and save our democracy. Now, I did do a little bit of time in law enforcement. I got out, but I did a lot of corruption investigations, and it's one of the reasons why I'm so interested in Reclaim New York, because I think that they're one of the most corrupt organizations we've seen in a long time. But that's not what I want to talk about. This is going to be a hard talk for you guys, because I'm going to talk about the other side. Now, when I was investigating corruption, one of the best assets that I had, if I was investigating a dirty police officer, was a good cop. Good cops helped me turn in bad cops. You may not know that, because it was all so generalized, and it still is, but good cops helped me turn in not only bad cops, but bad judges, bad attorneys, all kinds of people who were abusing their power for their own gain. So here's where we're at right now. How many of you talk to Republicans? Raise your hand if you talk to Republicans. We need to talk to Republicans. Many of them are still buying the garbage, but many of them have buyer's remorse, and many of them just didn't know what to do. I know many people. I don't come from here. I come from Delaware County. Does anybody know where that is? Okay, I'm out in the boonies. I'm in farm country, and farmers mean a lot to me. We had 22 farms when I first went up there 40 years ago. Now we have 3. And we're doing everything we can to keep them alive, because farming is so important to our environment, to our lifestyles, to everything we're about. And many, not all, but many farmers are Republican. I have to talk to them. And one of the things that I've done over the years is I've learned to talk to people who disagree with me. And I can tell you right now, many, many, many people want to talk. They don't know how. Because they're hearing on Fox News and on Rush and everywhere else that as soon as you talk to a liberal or a progressive person, they're going to start going, oh, it's all that politically correct stuff. No, it's not. We have language that we believe in. Liberal is not a bad word. Progressive is not a bad word. Conservative is not a bad word. We have to go beyond the words, and we have to develop the relationships. If we could develop relationships, imagine the power that we'd have at that point. Imagine what we could do. there wouldn't be arguments about Dreamers and DACA and all the other things that we're arguing with. If we could get us together, more of us agree on what the basic issues are, then we disagree. But when I hear pro-choice and pro-life, I need to reframe things, because we need to have choices. But what I hear with the pro-life is that it's pro-birth. So I beg you, next time somebody talks about pro-life, say, oh, I'm sorry, are you talking about pro-birth? Oh, pro-birth, you're a pro-birther. Okay, I got it. Because you don't care what happens when they're born. So those are the messages I want to give. We need to embrace other people who are different from us. And I'm not talking about diversity. I'm half Puerto Rican. And I lived in New York City housing projects. I know diversity. What I'm talking about in terms of the diversity of today is political persuasion, political perspective. And we need to find ways of breaking some of those barriers that we have so that we can engage people and make this park even more crowded next year. The last thing I want to say is thank you to the men who are here. You guys rock! My husband couldn't be here, but he is a retired military guy. He was Army for 23 years. He was in private security. If there's anybody who should be so far to the right, it would be him. But he's a feminist, he's a humanist. He and I run a food pantry. He and I worked together doing conflict resolution for 35 years. So we have to know something about conflict if we've been doing that together and we're still married. But I just applaud the men who are willing to step up here and support us. When I first married my husband, everybody wanted me to change my name to his. And I never saw the sense in it. It just always baffled me. Why would I change my name? He's not changing his. Why am I changing mine? So I didn't. And he got a lot of crap from his Army buddies about it. Let me tell you, they used to call me Linda Liberal, all this other stuff. And they used to just nail him. But I could tell you he's the strongest man I know because he marches with us. And he supports what I'm doing, and I think every man who's here, you guys rock. Thank you all. We'll see you later.